you know, I'm watching the news coverage over the last few weeks and seeing the way that, you know, I always believed that the church was a sanctuary. It's where somewhere you could go for safety, somewhere where you could be somewhere that reached out to the poor and the vulnerable and the weak, and seeing the pictures of the people outside being protected by St. Paul was wonderful. But then you heard what was saying, and that they were getting lawsuits to get them moved off, and they were turfing them out, and they were closing it down the first time since the Second World War. They were moving to get everybody off, just so that they could keep tourism happy. And that to me seemed to be like, it really, really, really confirmed all the doubts I've ever had about what the established church in this country means. That made me know I had to come here. I had to be part of this. We could have gone to some other sites that have been occupied, but St. Paul's was more significant in my mind because it was the church, and the church, you know, and I needed to I needed to be here. Sorry.
We were introduced the other day to the General Secretary for the World Council of Churches. He was over here in England on a conference and had wanted to come down and speak to us, and they brought other members of the WCC with them and the Director for Christian Aid, etc. It is the scripture about the widow who puts her her tuppence in as such, which is all she has, that the poorest of the poor are being expected to bail out the banks and everything else, and the wealthiest, the 1%, are basically not even contributing anything that takes away from them. And Mohammed is an imam who came down to show support for Giles Fraser, who is a colleague that he's worked with in the past, and he's just been the voice of reason often at times in an interfaith situation where he can speak from an Islamic perspective as an imam, but he's got the empathy for both Judaism and Christianity. But he's managed to really, really, I think, nail the juxtaposition between the cathedral here at St. Paul's and the city, and that, as he puts it, the tectonic plates that kind of clash in this very place. Something that one of the reverends from the Church of England, who's not in the chapter here at St. Paul's, but who comes to our chapter meetings, he pointed out that the only person in the first two meetings that injected God into the meetings was Muhammad. There's a rabbi as well who we've been working with, he's been very, very supportive of the camp all the way through. He came and spoke at the Sermon on the Steps, and he's remained very much a part of helping the camp and the movement to